gonna make a quick little video about putting a ALH TDI with a 5-speed in a Colorado Canyon 4-wheel drive. Looked around online a bunch, couldn't find an adapter plate that went to the Colorado bell housing, or anybody that's played with this. Not a lot of info out there, so hopefully this would help somebody out. So yeah, so I got a white bread TDI to Jeep 4-liter adapter plate. The guy on the phone at White Bread was pretty cool, real helpful. They had them on the shelf ready to ship, so even to Canada it was pretty quick. Real nice guy, recommend them. Anyway, so you need one of those. So the TDI looks like a Jeep 4-liter. I was thinking about putting a AX15 and a NP231 in the Colorado, but the drive shaft comes out on the passenger side for a Colorado, driver side for Jeep and most things, so figured it'd just be easiest to run the AR5. I tried changing input shafts, but the AX15 input shaft's different. Then you could have just run a Jeep clutch, but the gear on the back of the input shaft's different. So this is what I found that it'll work. So the only stuff you really need from a AX15 is the front seal bearing retaining cover. The Colorado one bolts on with 2 bolts for the slave cylinder. Jeep one just has a little roll pin on one of those one-way retainer washers. So you need that off an AX15, early 90s internal slave. And then the bell housing, same thing, early 90s Jeep 4-liter internal slave. So that's what you need off an AX15. Get that stuff at the junkyard. So the AX15 and the AR5, or an MT5, same thing as an AR5, are the same as a AX15, just updated. Minor differences, but overall they're brothers. So anyway, front bearing retainer, seal plate fits, bell housing bolts on, all fine and dandy. This bell housing is actually a 1/4 inch shorter than a stock Colorado bell housing. So I took this measurement, kind of doesn't have to be super accurate, but anyway, that's the transmission face to where that pilot bearing would factory start in a Jeep. Come over here to the AR5. This one's out of a 4-cylinder. They're all the same basically. So if you look, that's where the pilot bearing would actually start if you just put it together. So you're missing probably a good quarter inch of engagement. So anyway, I got this pilot bushing, one of those. It has a larger OD, the same ID. You gotta buff it up just a bit to get it to fit on the shaft for the ID, but I machined that down and just put a 1/4 inch shoulder of the original OD, and then the rest is 1 inch. I made a couple thou interference because the bore in this adapter's 1 inch, so I made it like in +3 thou, 2 thou, put some bearing retainer on there, interference fit, hammered it in with a install tool, something like that. Anyway, so now that pilot bearing is shouldered, sticks out, and you get full engagement on that bearing surface. And that bell housing will bolt onto an AR5, proper pilot bearing engagement. So another thing you need to buy individually is a Hummer H3 clutch with the inline 5, and that clutch is a 1/16 larger diameter than the Jeep 4-liter clutch. So we just make that flush there. Come over here. You just got like barely anything overhanging. Basically get 100% clutch engagement. And then just run a Jeep 4-liter flywheel, Jeep 4-liter pressure plate, and a Jeep 4-liter early 90s internal slave. Yeah, part number for that clutch disc, Sachs. Jeep 4-liter flywheel I used, and then the pressure plate box doesn't have a part number on it for some reason. But anyway, yeah, so you just run a Jeep throwout bearing, slave cylinder, Jeep flywheel, Jeep pressure plate. Get one of those bushings machined at a machine shop. Probably do 3 or 4 of them at a time, and then cheaper for next time you do a clutch job. AX15 bellhousing, internal slave, AX15 internal slave bearing seal plate, and then you got an AR5 on the back of a TDI, because they don't make an adapter that I could find that goes to the Colorado Canyon 4, 6, or inline 5 bell housing. So anyway, that's what you got to do, and hopefully that helps somebody out.